The Great Molasses Flood, and 7 ugly truths about homesteading that you should know.
From the age-old traditions to the modern homestead, discovering the dedication, resilience, and love that crafts our food, nurtures our land, and builds community. Welcome to the Farm2Table Report, the heartbeat of the homesteading community, with your host, Ryan Hooper.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Thanks for tuning in to the Farm2Table Report. I am your host, Ryan Hooper, pontificator extraordinaire, master of the microphone, and cool to the camera. A head full of useless knowledge, as my wife likes to say, that I'm bringing to bear into the homesteading community. Hope that you find us entertaining, educational, informative, and if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, smash that button, let us know you're out there. Please comment in the comment section below. Let us know how we're doing, and share. Join us on this journey as we go boldly into the homesteading community to bring you information, news, education, and homestead highlights, all the things that we like to do here at the homestead, because we are stronger together. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get right into the headlines tonight. It has been quite a busy week. I do apologize for being a day late with the report. We had weather moving in, rain and stuff, and I had some grass seed and stuff that I had to get down, work schedules. Anyway, just wasn't able to get it done last night, but we're in here tonight getting it done. For those of you that have land, have homesteading and stuff, you know what this is about, where we have to do things sometimes when we got to do them. And so anyway, folks, we're going to get right into it. Enough of my jabbering about what's going on out there in the world. We're going to get on to the news. I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to the share screen, and we're going to get straight into the top stories and some things we found interesting this week. All right, here we go. First up, as many of you may already know, Kevin McCarthy, Speaker of the House, former Speaker of the House now, historic vote as he's ousted. They voted him out. First time this has ever happened that a speaker's been voted out. It was initiated by Matt Gaetz, anyway, 208 Democrats jumped on and 8 Republicans for a 216 to 210 vote. That anyway, it's the end of the political line for McCarthy. They voted him out of the job. It's never happened before. Don't know what this is going to mean. I mean, opinions vary, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the politics of this. Just to, it was, man, what a news cycle that created. I mean, it is. You just don't normally see something like this. There's Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy opposing each other. They were just didn't get along. The right, I guess you might say, of the Republican Party, they just weren't happy with him. Anyway, this is something new that's never happened. It's historic, folks. So keep an eye out on those things. Even for those of us that, those of you that may not want to be political, it is super important to keep up with these things, because this all has effect. We'll see, especially going into an election year, what that's going to be. 216 to 210 was the vote. So anyway, so now leadership's in chaos, and we'll see who they chose. I know Jim Jordan, Representative Jim Jordan, has thrown his hat in the ring. Some people have even thrown out President Trump's name as a possible Speaker of the House candidate. Wouldn't that be interesting? So we'll see what happens. And just a little side note to this. This is almost kind of funny. By the way, that was from the AP that I was reading that article. They're not my favorite source, but it was the one that had the headline. So that's the one I used. But anyway, so you can go over to AP, just go out and Google or DuckDuck or whatever you do to search, and you just search that if you haven't already heard about it and you want to read more. On a side note to that, McHenry, let's see, this is Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry, Republican of North Carolina. He's filling in until they get a new speaker elected. Ordered former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi to vacate her Capitol Hideaway office so he could take it over just hours after becoming the acting Speaker. again, something that's not traditionally been happening. So just, I don't know, side note, interesting for those of you who may or may not have a feeling one way or another on that. It's just, I've seen that and I found it quite interesting, kind of funny, honestly, but given how the former speaker treated a lot of the people there, that now she's receiving some return treatment. But, they say turn the other cheek. It doesn't seem like that some of the Republicans that are up there are buying into that program. So anyway, we're going to move on. That's just a little bit of what's going on in the national news as far as politics. We're not going to dig down into that, and we're going to move on. Our first story, first thing I wanted to cover tonight was from farmandDairy.com. All right, folks, this is an interesting story. It's called Fake It Till You Make It. It's I guess you might say a blog. This is a column from a guy named Eric Keller. This was published out September 30th, so just a few days ago. Fake it till you make it. Now, this is interesting. What he says, this guy's homesteading, apparently. He said he's read a lot of books on farming and homesteading, and previously he talked about his favorite authors, but now he wants to talk about the content. So this guy is a regular contributor to Farm and Dairy, so y'all can go out there, farmandDairy.com, and find this guy. But here he is. He said nearly every book says to start slow and think small. I've heard the same things. I've heard some of that, advice, not only from books, but from individuals. Not saying it's bad advice, just saying that's what the advice is out there. His comment was our homesteading forefathers weren't slow to start, and they weren't thinking small when they're settling new land out west. Says it's fashionable, but said now they're trying to learn things that their forefathers took for granted, and they discover just how we became so distant from the very fabric of our life, and that's food. Quite interesting. Seems to be that average people are, turning to it. It's getting more and more. The homesteading community is growing at a rapid rate. We're going to talk more as we go through that, and we're happy about that. We think that is the answer. As we've said before, stronger together in these communities. Global problems with local solutions. And, at a time when society is very distant from the source of its food, he says, average food product travels more than 1,000 miles. It's not a surprise there's a homesteading movement. Now, this next one, I'll have to admit, when I read this, I laughed. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy says he's met adults who think boneless chicken comes from boneless chickens, specially bred for the fast food industry. I work in the poultry industry, and I can assure you that they are not boneless chickens. In case you didn't know, they're real chickens. But anyway, he says people don't know how a hen lays eggs. They don't know how cows produce milk or what lard is, let alone what to do with it. And it's not uncommon to meet someone who doesn't even cook their own food or eat leftovers. Now, I'll say, I got to confess, a little bit guilty at times of that because I'm on the go so much that sometimes cooking just is a chore, or we just ain't got time for it. But hey, that's it. Now listen, some of you can relate to this next statement. When his wife and him told the family members that they wanted to homestead and try to grow most of their food, they thought we were crazy. We've all heard that one. And he says he's not really convinced that they were wrong, but it only fueled his passion. And he goes on, started out with a simple dream of sewing clothes, homeschooling kids, growing and canning foods, and forging a new life. Said he read a book going back to this, that inspired him to abandon modern conveniences. He had a plan to build a house, perhaps a cabin from trees that he cut down, a small barn. Anyway, it's funny. One of my favorite things I said is he in my head talked about all his intentions, his dreams came crash down. How could he build a house, etc., if he couldn't even start his antique Ford tractor? Now, somebody who owned an 8N Ford antique tractor, I know his struggle. It was a pain. That's why I got rid of it. I gave up. But anyway, he said said he had ideas of Little House on the Prairie, and it said it looks more like Green Acres. For those of you, that's dating me. For those of you who know it. So anyway, just get a chance to read that. It's just kind of talking about the homestead life. He put quite a bit of stuff in there, and he's just a real interesting guy as far as how he writes. I found it humorous, but yet also true. And sometimes, truth is the best humor. But anyway, check that one out at farmandDairy.com. They've got a lot of information, news, weather, etc. Good place to go check it out. So, moving right along. Just to let you know some more things going on around the world in the homesteading is all over. Okay, this is Hartselle Inquirer. It's a newspaper. It's out of Hartselle, Alabama. So back down south. I know we had some Alabama before. Local homesteading event draws crowds for those eager to learn. Connect. Morgan County Extension Office hosted a gathering of nearly 100 participants. So small, but getting started. It was anyway a half-a-day program called Homesteading on a Halfacre. It was held back on September 9th. So I mean, this happened a few weeks ago, almost a month. But hey, just interesting information, drawing attendees far and wide. The central theme, according to the agent Brett Crow, revolved around the idea that homeowners with even the tiniest plots of land can take meaningful steps to bolster their food production and preserve efforts, promoting self-reliance and sustainability. So I mean, just letting you know, it doesn't. You don't have to have a big lawn. There's backyard gardening. There's all of those things. You know, topics range from beekeeping, backyard flocks, local meat sourcing, methods of canning and food preparation, garden. I mean, all kinds of stuff. They had stuff for the kids, and the 4-H was involved. This was an inaugural event. Hi, Jack. Jax came in to say hi, everybody. Say hi, Jack. Hi, Jack. Yeah, Jack the cat coming in to see what's going on. Anyway, this was the inaugural event. A lot of people, organizations behind it, and the No Fences Cowboy Church provided a perfect venue, so I guess that's where they had it. And they're planning on having that program again next year. So just, hey, something going on. That article was by Rebecca Yancey, and that's at the Hartselle Inquirer. So you can check that out. Now, flipping over here. Now this one right here, the Discern Report. Now for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a news aggregate. I use it as a conservative news aggregate. It keeps me keep up with news headlines. But anyway, one of the things, the topic of this, freeze-dry at homes. Freeze-dried beef industry is exploding, and here's why. Now, folks, I got to give a little disclaimer. This is a sponsored post, not for us and not through our site, but through the Discern Report. So this person paid for this commentary and this ad to be up there. And anyway, it's a couple of years ago, the notion of stocking up on freeze-dried beef was relegated to doomsday preppers and those who like to push the easy button on beef stew night. But today, many Americans are buying up much high-quality freeze-dried beef as they can. The CEO, Jason Nelson of Prepper All Naturals, you can go check them out. They're an interesting site. I've never tried their product yet, I'm not going to lie to you, but I really like what they stand for. They start out with a small building with 3 freeze dryers in June to a large warehouse with over 20 freeze dryers today and plans to build more. Something about this freeze-dried beef has a shelf life of over a decade. So, it says it's ideal for those who believe lab-grown meat is going to be pushed on the population in the near future. He says, when fake meat or even insects are the only animal proteins, those who have supplies of freeze-dried beef will be ahead of the curve. So it's not just that. Anyway, he goes on, mRNA vaccines, big food and big pharma. Anyway, they offer premium cuts for long-term ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, original steak bags. Customers trying to eat beef crumbles, and we know what that looks like, or beef chunks. Anyway, they say they slaughter the cattle, butcher the best portions. They wholesale out the lower stuff to other companies. He said they cook it sous vide, which is basically like using water and heat. So I checked into that. It's quite interesting. Anyway, they don't even add salt, they said, to it because everybody's got different tastes. And anyway, so quite an interesting company. Go check them out. If I recall, they're veteran-owned. They're very much like-minded, you might say. So we just found that was interesting. Now, something Keith and I talked about with this when we were talking about this article was, freeze dryers are expensive. For those who don't know, starting out, entry level, you're talking, $2,000, $2,500 for a freeze dryer for a small one. They can go way up higher than that for a commercial size. But anyway, that small one can do about 1,800 pounds a year of freeze drying. That's a lot of beef, and it does other stuff. Vegetables, all kinds of anything you want to freeze dry. But we came up with this idea, or thought about this idea of, like community. So it's like, a church or somebody had one, or they had the money and was willing to go in and buy one, and then people in a community could use that to freeze dry, or even a group of people, going in together and buying one that they could all use to freeze dry different foods and stuff for themselves. Just a thought out there. as something that we considered, as maybe just one of those question marks of, could this work? I don't know. Y'all can go check that out for yourselves. I think it's a cool idea, for a community of people, friends or whatever, family, to go in and do something like that. Because again, preparation. So, check that out. That's at, let me see, this freeze-dried, Harvest-Dried is the ones that make those freeze-dryers. Go over to Prepper All Naturals. You can just put that in. It goes somewhere, let me see. I'm going to take you there. Prepper All Naturals. Whole cows, eat well today, eat well tomorrow. That's their motto. So you can see there I went over there. Prepper All Naturals. It's freedomfirstbeef.com. You can check them out. Veteran-owned company, like I said. Beef is under attack, which we all know that. But anyway, never mRNA vaccines. These people they're like-minded, like I said. But anyway, go check them out. That's at freedomfirstbeef.com. Prepper All Naturals. Okay, moving right along to the next topic. I come across this. It's on wealthofgeeks.com. It's an article by Jenna Ziziak, I think that's how I did it. 27 best gardening books for beginners in 2024. That was just published September 30th. Go out and check that out. It's quite an interesting article. You can see it, and it's literally it's books about gardening. I mean, it's from every size of garden to small space and homesteading books, all the way down. There's a whole list: vertical gardening, mini farming, self-sufficiency on 1/4 of an acre, so even more small. The backyard homestead, rebel gardening. No-till and no-dig gardening. That sounds nice. No-dig, nurture your soil. Raised row gardening. I mean, it's just a whole 27 books. Just go out and check it out. It's just a little piece of information that we want to pass along. That's on wealthofgeeks.com. 27 best gardening books for beginners in 2024. Go check that out. It's going to be quite interesting. Now, we'll switch gears. We're kind of going to go back political, but it's just something that's kind of in the news here lately, and that is the Farm Bill. Now, I went to farmaid.org because I wanted to understand what the Farm Bill was, because when I get into the Farm Bill, I hear stuff about, SNAP program and crop insurance and all these different things, and I'm like, okay, this thing is huge, and we're talking about trillions of dollars, huge amount of money that is being fought over up in D.C. and the different states and everybody, and I just, it's Farm2Table Direct Show, Farm2Table Report, so I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about it. You can go there, go to farmaid.org, and you can just search Farm Bill 101. It was a blog post back in March, and it'll give you a history of it. I'm going to kind of touch some of it. First one was drafted in 1933 in the wake of the beginning of the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, to address the needs of America's farmers at a time when hunger and poverty were widespread in the country. So yeah, during the Depression, a lot of things got started. Some of them were good. Some of it's government overreach, or it was good at the time and it's became those things. We're not going to dig too deeply. But anyway, the first 18, it says, established a long-standing political handshake that recognized the needs of both farmers and poor Americans. Were deeply intertwined. So it's had to do with production. I mean, it was really interesting. The reason it started was probably good. But since 1933, roughly every 5 years, the federal government reviews food and farm landscape and renews this enormous omnibus bill. In other words, it's got a bunch of stuff piled in there that they call the Farm Bill. Usually dominate, including nutrition, crop insurance, conservation, and commodities. The main packs, potent punch, covering many innovative programs that are changing the landscape. Rural development, international trade, beginning farmers. Anyway, you can read more about it. And, it goes on. This blog post goes on to talk about what the political context is right now in D.C. I'm not going to dig too much into that. There's kind of a chart that's from the 2018, the last one that was done. 76.1% goes for nutrition. 8.9% crop insurance, 7.3% for commodities, 6.8% for conservation, and 0.8% for other. It's that other part that scares me. But anyway, so they've been arguing back and forth, the House and Senate. The House has to do one in their committees. The Senate has to do one in their committees. They pass their chambers, and then they have to consolidate one. They have to agree to consolidate and send it to the president. And then once passed, the USDA begins the implementation. They're still working on stuff from 2018 they haven't got done. Okay, and it's the government, it's the bureaucracy. Most of the time they just take the old bill and they make new changes and adjust. They don't start all over. But anyway, and you can scroll on down, it'll give you the 12 titles of the different things, commodities, 314 billion. Okay, let's see. Conservation, 29 billion. So it goes on. Like I said, you can read this. Farmaid.org. A whole lot of information about this farm bill. For those of you that are farmers and on this scale, or people that are on the SNAP program, different things. This is important. It does matter. It's something that's there. You can't undo it. It's going to keep on going. It's just information about what the talk is of the farm bill, what all's involved in that. And I know that farmers, and particularly the large scale farmers, but farmers have come to depend upon this. Like I said, SNAP program, a lot of other different nutritional programs and stuff like that. That this matters. I'm about small government. I like less is more. I don't think it's the government's job to do everything. That it's the communities, it's the people, and that's why we like the homestead community. That's why we like the farmers markets. That's why we like groups of people working together to solve problems versus turning to government, to Big Brother, to solve these problems. And I just think it's but unfortunately it was one of those things that once it was a Pandora's box, and once they opened that up, out it came. And so folks, it's the world we live in, and I don't agree with it all either, but just so you understand, it's important to be informed, know what these things are, so when you hear reference to them on the news or online, or people are talking about them, commenting, ads, whatever, that you're up to speed on what it is, and kind of and also where's your tax dollars going to work. I mentioned that article about Kevin McCarthy earlier. One of the things I read that they were upset was that the senator from Tennessee said on Fox News, they were upset because here we are, we got this deficit, and yet they continue to pass all these extensions of the budget. There's no real budget. They just keep funneling money, borrowing from taxpayers, and going further in debt. Bringing in $5 trillion and spending $7 trillion or something like that. So they're operating in red. If we operated our homes, our farms, our businesses, etc., if we operated our lives in the red, guess what? It ain't going to work very long, and we're going to be bankrupt, and we're going to be in trouble. Well, why is the government any different? But the problem is that they got a steady source of money, and they borrow against the future and against our kids' future. And anyway, I'm going to switch back off of that and get out of that. We're going to go back to the share screen. Just one of those things. But anyway, so that's the headlines that we had. Go back over here. That's the headlines that we had as far as just kind of things that were either in the news or interesting things, like the 27 books about gardening, and just some tips out there about freeze-dried beef, and just one guy's opinion piece, just kind of his blog that you might want to go check out about, or his column, if you will, about homestead life. And they've been at it for a couple of years now, and they're still going. And then the heart cell, inquiring that event down there, that more and more of those are popping up, and we're going to get into some of that here in a minute. But it's just good to see that kind of stuff. So here we go, folks. All right, moving back over. All right, do a little bit of history tidbit. I'm just going to jump into this real quick. I talked about earlier the Great Boston Molasses Flood, circa 1919. Fiery hot. I'm on history.com. You can go up and search these. If you go and search it, you'll find information. I didn't know about this until the other night. In fact, last night I think it was. My wife showed me a video. I'm not going to reference over to it. It was on YouTube about it. Anyway, hurt my head as far as the people that were doing it. It was kind of funny, kind of stupid, but the history information was real interesting, and it's obscure, and it's about molasses. It's about food, and we like, any of us have had molasses. We like it. This is sweet. And listen, back in 1919, it was the premier sweetener most people used. It was what everybody put in there to sweeten things because folks couldn't afford the granulated white sugar. It was an expensive thing. They couldn't afford it. So molasses was in a lot of things. So the molasses business was really good. Okay. Now, it says here, fiery hot molasses floods the streets of Boston on January 15, 1919, killing 21 people and injuring scores other. Estimates are about 150 plus. Anyway, molasses burst from a huge tank at the United States Industrial Alcohol Company building in the heart of the city. Now, it was on the north end of Boston. Okay, here's the deal. I didn't know this. Now, I knew that molasses was used to make rum. Yay, for those who like that. Of course, we like it in, pancakes, syrup, sweeteners, all those things. But apparently, there's an industrial alcohol that molasses is a part of the process they go through. And it was used for making gunpowder and those types of things. 1919, it's on the heels of the Great War, the World War I, right? All that's been going on. So obviously gunpowder and things of that nature have been in hot commodity. So this company had decided to expand their holding capacity, okay? And they built this tank, okay? 58 foot high, 50 foot, 58 high. Okay, that's 5 stories, almost 6 stories. Okay, it held 2.5 million gallons of crude molasses. Folks, that's a whole lot of molasses inside this tank. Okay, now that January 15th, it was warm, 40-something degrees, but warm for them. Unloaded freight car next with the large building next to the workers. That suddenly bolts holding the bottom of the tank exploded, shooting out like bullets. Okay, we're talking like projectiles, these riveted bolts. Okay, and the hot molasses, an 8-foot high wave. Can you imagine an 8-foot high wave of molasses? Holy cow, right? Anyway, swept away the freight cars, caved in the building's doors, had no chance as the liquid poured down, overwhelmed them. Now here's a picture, right, in puddles of molasses the next day. The tank, 58 feet high, 98 feet diameter, more than 2 million gallons. I mean, that's crazy. Flowed into the streets, literally knocked over a local firehouse, pushed the support beams for the elevated train line. I mean, the L's, substance then drowned and burned 5 workers at Public Works and all 21 people, dozens of horses killed. Took weeks to clean it. Now, the way they cleaned it was like crazy. They washed, all the wire, the water they could, and then they put sand and stuff. I'm talking about sand all over the place to help dry it up. And they were saying that, the footprint, and people walking around, it tracked out molasses everywhere. So the city was a mess. I can just imagine the ants and the rats and what they had. But anyway, produced a court battle, blah, 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 lawsuits. Okay, long story about that. But you can read more about this stuff. I mean, it's just really, I was like, wow, great Boston Molasses Flood. You can go into history and find that. It is 1919. Now, the thing was, is that, it's lost in history. I'd never heard of this. It wasn't in school. I never read anything about it. Kind of like, that farmers' protest before. But this is from 1919. Now, what's interesting about 1919 and why this might have not really gotten a lot of attention or got lost in history, we'd had the war and everything, but it was the same year that the Spanish flu was going on. So it's kind of like about 3 years ago when we had our little thing going on that had all the headlines and all kinds of things got overlooked. News stories got missed and all kinds of things because, there was something of a bigger importance. Things were keeping the headline. Imagine that. But anyway, I'll stop there. But I'm just trying to imagine an 8-foot high wave of molasses. They were saying in a thing that I was watching last night that literally it would plug their nose and their mouths and stuff and suffocate them. It was terrible. And the fact that only 21 people, that's 21 too many, but, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but I would think more given all that going on. But just an interesting piece of history. And Get this, when this thing was leaking, so they'd put it in first. Okay, what happened, they'd put this molasses in there, and they had so much, and they were using it. Well, they got the molasses before, the molasses were coming in on the ship before right as they were getting it done. It was a timeline. They were up against it. And here, get this, they hadn't even tested this tank. They just put stuff in it, okay, that big of a tank, all right, and they just started putting it in. Well, it started leaking. So people would come by with cups and things like that and get molasses that was leaking out of this and take it back home. Well, do you think they drained the tank and, fixed it and tested it? No, nope. Slapped some brown paint on it, the same color as the molasses, which hid the leaking. People couldn't go get it anymore. Great fix, right? This is before OSHA, by the way, and a few other things. But anyway, so that's how they covered it up. Well, they had a certain amount in there. Well, another shipment came in. Now, the shipment, the stuff that had been there for a while, it had a certain temperature. Well, whatever they dropped in there had a different temperature. And these two things, and it created a fermentation process, which created a bunch of gas buildup. And that's what caused this tank to explode and send hot molasses rushing everywhere. It's crazy. And of course, people were just, I couldn't imagine seeing a wave of molasses and then you get stuck in it. It's terrible. But anyway, just one of those interesting history facts, folks. Hope you enjoyed that little travel into history, if you will. But we'll see what other buried nuggets of history relating to food and farm we might be able to find going forward in the future. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'm going to move right on to this week's Homestead highlight. This one we're going up on. This one is D6 Homestead. Family of 6 embracing rural life on the Canadian prairies. That's right, north of the border. Our neighbors to the north. They have taken up homesteading. So again, this is an international thing, all right? But this family of 6 says, welcome to our channel where we celebrate the beauty of authentic Saskatchewan prairie living. Join us on a journey through gardening, homesteading, building, growing our own food, community, and sharing the joys of life on the prairie. From tending to our gardens and orchard to raising happy animals, here to inspire and encourage. Subscribe for a taste of prairie life, and let's embrace the simple, fulfilling moments together. This family of 6. Now, in fairness, we came aware of them after the OKIE Homestead Expo. They had became aware of us. We'd seen them. They'd commented and stuff. They're very much like-minded. They're just quite an interesting family. And watching them, and they're dynamic. And go check their videos out. They've got a pretty good list of videos. Stevia ketchup, autumn rush, Instapots, round bales. It is literally the homestead life and the farming life. And it goes through, and you can meet them on there. Great information, sometimes funny. And you can just kind of, from sheep, lamb, sausage, everything, how they heat, all of this. And so just really cool people doing the homestead thing north of the border, and so go check them out. They've only had their channel up for, since I think early March of this year. So, they're a new channel. They're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, of course, which is where I'm at here. Totally cool. Go check them out. Give them some love, and tell them the Farm2Table Report, the Farm2Table Direct Show sent you over, and we're going to talk about something, because every time we do these homestead highlights, what we like to look for is something that they've given back to the community, or something that they've shared, or something they've done that we find useful or informative, and we think they're out there, they're trying to be helpful, they're trying to share information. And this is our headline that we were talking about: 7 ugly truths you should know about homesteading. So we're going to see what this sounds like right here. Okay, it is up, and this is just a 3-minute, 55-second video, but the 7 ugly truths you should know about homesteading. Yeah, bro. There it goes. Is that better? Okay. Is that it? Did that fix it, bro? Yeah. I don't know, bro. Is that better? Okay. All right, I'll fix it, bro. All right. Well, folks, I apologize for the technical difficulty. It is not something that we kind of wasn't prepared for on that one. But anyway, I'm going to do some quick changing right here. All right. Let's see. Sorry, folks. This is the thing about going live. Is sometimes it doesn't quite work out the way you want it to. But hey, we're learning. We're getting used to this. So anyway, point being, let's go back to share screen. I'm going to go back to that and talk to you. Like I said, D6 Homestead. Like I said, great people. You heard that. I know you couldn't hear it. Go check them out. That video is on their playlist. It's 7 Ugly Truths. It is expensive. It is hard work. There is a steep learning curve. You know, and all the other things she mentioned, it is worth it though. And that's why people do it. It's you know, but it's just about being honest enough, friend. It's not to discourage anybody from it. It's not to make anybody scared of it. But you need to be honest with yourself going into it. So hey, there it is. That's the D6 Homestead. Give them some love. Go out, check them out, watch their videos. Great family. I'm hoping they're going to be able to make it down to the OKIE Homestead Expo this year, and we'll see if it happens. Anyway, I'm going to come back over here. We're going to kind of begin to wrap things up tonight. I didn't get the events loaded, the flyers and stuff, but I will know this: October 14th and 15th, Russellville, Arkansas, or Knoxville, Arkansas, right outside of Russellville, homesteading event, October 14th. It's on a Saturday. Go check them out down there if you're in the Knoxville, Arkansas area. They're great. We will get more stuff. I'm gonna go back to share screen. We're just gonna bring some stuff. No, I'm not. I'm gonna stay right here. Anyway, that was coming up. I know Indiana Homestead Conference is coming up. I think the next weekend, October 21st. Our friends over at Olive Branch Aquaponics are going to be there. So for all of y'all up in Indiana, you know, if you're going through that area, Indiana Homestead Conference, go check that one out. That's coming up. You know, I'm hoping the Hardy Homestead Days was great. I, of course, unfortunately didn't get to make it, but that's, you know, that's the nature of things. I'm not going to get to make those. Sometimes we are in the process of getting our property ready, getting ready to move, and so that's kind of got all the time ate up right now. But anyway, those are the two most recent upcoming ones. And let's see, okay, yeah, March, we've got the OKIE Homestead Expo coming up. March 22nd, 23rd, if I do believe. I should have that up. I feel like I missed a boat on that one, but hey, OKIEHomestead.com. Check them out on Facebook, OKIE Homesteading. Our friends over at Hidden Heights Farm and Keeping It Dutch that put that on. There'll be tons of great folks there. We're going to be there. Hope to see you all there too. So that's in Pryor, Oklahoma at Mays County Fairground. Check that one out. And coming up in June, Modern Homesteading Conference in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Those the last three, the one in Indiana, the one at OKIE Homestead Days, and I do believe also in Coeur d'Alene. Joel Salatin, I know, is one of the main speakers at a lot of those places. So check him out. The speaker list is crazy for all of them. Information's out there, folks, and like I said, if you got something coming up in your area and you want us to announce it, leave it in a comment, email us, Farm2Table Direct at proton.com. I hope I got that right. Keith will put it in the comments if I mess that up. We'll put it up. But go onto our page, Farm2TableDirectShow.com. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, all those places. You can find us, and they'll find that information. But anyway, folks, it has been quite an eventful show. We got a lot of headlines from entertaining and enlightening all the way down to scary when it comes to the politics and things going on in the world. Hope you go check out some of these things that I pointed you to tonight. The community is what it's all about. Building community, getting stronger together in the community. And that's why we do this. That's why we highlight some things for people to talk about or to be informed about. We like to share a little bit of history. That's why we like to highlight a homestead and what they're doing. And, putting the word out more and more and more about the homestead community and about the farming and ranching community. There's so much stuff going on around the country, and just no way possible to get it all in 1 hour or less. We'd be in here all night talking about all the news going on. But anyway, folks, it's getting real out there. Winter's coming. It's right around the corner, and hey, get prepared. Make sure you have everything in place so that you get through the winter. We don't want to lose that. That's just me talking off the top of my head right there. Anyway, folks, hope you found it again entertaining, enlightening. Forgive us of our errors and our mistakes as we go forward. We will try to improve each and every episode that we bring it to you. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you soon. To our commenters, to our likes, shares. Awesome. Thank you. And we will see you soon. So as always, from the Farm2Table Direct Show, prepare for the unexpected and keep it local.